Welcome to the Breakthrough Success Podcast, helping you achieve that breakthrough you've always been looking for in your business. And now your host, Mark Guberti.
Hello and welcome. I'm your host, Mark Guberti, and this is the podcast for marketers and small business owners who are looking for the breakthrough for their businesses. I am very excited about this show. We are going to talk about affiliate marketing with our guest, Matt McWilliams. Matt is the guy who people like Ray Edwards, Michael Hyatt, Chandler Bolt, Brian Tracy, Jeff Goins, and many more go to for their launches. He's been the mastermind of several 6- and 7-figure affiliate launches that have transformed businesses. He recently decided to share his insights in his daily podcast called The Affiliate Guy Daily, where he provided quick insights into affiliate marketing 7 days a week. And now it is my pleasure to welcome Matt to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, Mark. Good to be here, buddy.
It's a pleasure to have you, Matt. We're going to dive into affiliate marketing throughout this episode, but I'd like to start with the why question. So I'm wondering, why did you start the Affiliate Guy Daily podcast?
Probably has something to do with the fact that I'm clinically insane. Doing a daily podcast is absolutely crazy. Don't get me wrong. But it's a lot of fun. And no, the reason I did it is I kept hearing from people that they wanted this. Like, this is what they wanted. They wanted, bite-sized chunks. They wanted 5 to 10 minutes every episode, except for one so far is under 10 minutes. One of them stretched out to about 10, 15, but they're short, they're actionable. And basically, the podcast format is I have one single topic, one single lesson with one single takeaway and one single call to action. Now, that might mean I share 5 things, but they're all tied into that one lesson, that one takeaway, and that one action. And that's what I heard people were looking for. They love the 45-minute to 1-hour case studies. They love podcasts like yours, but what they wanted from me, in addition, I do tons of videos. I do tons of epic blog posts, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 word blog posts that, can take weeks to process mentally. They wanted me to just basically say, hey, do this today and then come back tomorrow and do this next thing. So that's why I started it.
I love how you're able to listen to your audience and give them what they wanted. That is an important skill in marketing. And we're obviously going to dive into affiliate marketing, but how exactly do you do an episode a day? Like, do you do the batching method, or is it something more consistent? Like, how do you produce that many episodes?
Yeah, clearly, I'm running a lifestyle business, and I advocate, having the time freedom that we have in this world. So no, I am not recording 365 days a year. I think. And that just goes against what I believe in. It goes against my principles personally. So nothing wrong with that. Just it's not for me. So it's a combination. I might batch 10 episodes and then go a few days, and then I might do 4 or 5. I'm constantly coming up with new ideas, constantly getting, a lot of it is just Q&A with my audience. I get a question, I give the answer. And so there's a little bit of on the fly. And we'll try, the goal is to stay about 20 to 30, days ahead so that, again, I can go to Florida for 3 weeks this winter and not have to record an episode when I should be at the beach. But at the same time, I want to be proactive and reactive. In other words, if there's something happening in the online marketing world, if Google announces something tomorrow that drastically changes my industry, I need to be able to react to that and not go, well, I've already recorded 32 episodes, so I guess we're going to talk about that 5 weeks late. So yeah, it's kind of a combination of both. But for me, we have our client work, we have our business. It's unrealistic for me to say, okay, I'm going to record 20 episodes in a day. I've just got too much other stuff going on. So yesterday I recorded 1 episode. Actually, yesterday I recorded that 1 episode, and my daughter and wife were right with me the whole time, because right after I recorded that episode to show our daughter, Araceli, who's 6, I showed her how I did it. She then recorded her first podcast episode yesterday. She was inspired by this podcast launch. So that was kind of cool.
That is really cool. I mean, obviously we're all like trying to reach larger audiences, but having that experience of like, I can't speak like personally on this subject, but obviously, but like you having the ability to see your child do that is really impressive. So congratulations.
Yeah, it was a highlight of my week for sure.
So earlier we were talking, well, you were mentioning how you land all these big clients, and I just mentioned a few like Ray Edwards, Brian Tracy, Chandler Bolt. How exactly did you land those guys as clients?
You know, I get asked that a lot, and I never have a better answer than the one I'll give you, and that is, well, let me back up. Like, there's a lot out there about, how do you land big clients, and how do you work with like the rock stars in your industry? How do you, do sales? And for me, I let the work speak for itself. I've never once solicited a client. Now, I realize there are industries where this is not applicable, but in my world, when you get noticed, then you're kind of set. You really are. When you get noticed, you're going to be successful. And so for me, we give it our best on each client that we work with. And that allows us to be able to, get the next client. And we live most people think that the online marketing world is this big world. There's tens of thousands of people doing this, and there might be, but it's actually like in the world that I operate in, it's very small, and it's a very small ecosystem. And so when you do a good job for Ray Edwards, Michael Hyatt, and 15 other people notice. And the reality is we say no, without exaggeration, we say no 15 to 20 times more than we say yes. So we've got that many people coming to us saying, will you please run our launches? Will you please run our launches? And we say no. I think if you give it your best, if you're good at what you do, you find that one thing that you're one of the best at, then they're going to come to you, and you don't really have to worry about getting out there and soliciting clients and all these. I'm not criticizing books that have been written about like how to get clients, but if you're the best at what you do or one of the best, you will never have the problem of finding clients.
I love that takeaway, being the best at what you do, because if you're the best, people are just going to naturally gravitate towards you. And I mean, your ability to say no, it's like you're getting quality clients. It's not like you got the pain in the neck who is just dragging your team down. But I'd like to transition back to like the affiliate marketer's perspective. And I know some affiliates, they operate with very small email lists, and you've seen a lot of things because you've organized a lot of launches. So how can affiliates with small email lists still make a big commission?
Oh my gosh, this is one of my favorite topics because, I mean, this is who I speak to. This is who my heart is for, because I've been there, done that. When I first got into, promoting affiliate offers, man, my list was 800 people, and I'm the first promotion I ever did ironically for Michael Hyatt, who's now a client, was I made $588, and you would have thought that $588 was $1 million because I was that excited about it. And I did that with less than 800 people. And then, fast forward a year later, I made, almost $14,000 off that same launch with a list of just under 2,000 people. And along the way, I was making, 2,000, 4,000, 8,000 here and there. I was winning prizes. I was finishing top 5, top 10 in competitions, and it was kind of what got me on the map. And it was fun, and it was very lucrative. And so I'm proof that it's possible. But there's so many other people out there that are proof possible. John Meese. I did a case study with him. In fact, Mark, I'm going to do. I want to make sure your audience has access to that. Let me double check some. I want to make sure this URL is available. I don't see why it wouldn't be on my site, because worst thing I could do is send people to a page that doesn't exist. I'm going to make this simple. MattMcWilliams.com/Guberti, Guberti, your last name, MattMcWilliams.com/Guberti. I'm going to put up, I'm sure I'll end up adding something there by the end of this episode, but I'm going to put up this case study with John Meese, and it's about how he made a little over $5,000 with a list of about 1,300 people and change. And it's an awesome case study because, like, I can't go into as much depth as he and I go into about how he did it in such a short time, because I'm sure you want to ask me something else. But, I'm so passionate about that we did this case study. I've also got another one I'll do with Matthew Loomis. So 2 of these case studies, and I mean, he finished second in Jeff Goins' Tribe Writers launch with a pretty small list. And so we talked about how they do, how they do that. But here's what I want to give your audience. Like, I want to give just one thing, and again, go get these case studies. The number one thing is that you go into it like you don't have the small list. This is a mindset thing. This is all about mindset. If you go into it with the attitude, well, I've only got 200 people, and what if I get 5 people that unsubscribe? I can't promote. I don't know how to sell. If you go into it with that attitude, I mean, it's just, you're never going to be successful. So if you go into this attitude like I did in my first promo, I had nothing to lose. I said, you know what? I can't win this thing, but I'm going to just pretend for a second that I've got 100,000 people on my list. I'm going to write my email copy like that. I'm going to go into it with that attitude. Then you're going to be successful. And so for me, there's an exercise I do every single time I write copy. Every single time I put together any type of email or anything, and I do this. I picture my avatar, and if you don't have an avatar, then there's actually a resource that'll be on that page as well that can teach you how to do an avatar. But I have an avatar. His name is Pete, and here's what I know about Pete. Pete is in his 30s, maybe late 20s, typically married, and he's been blogging for 18 months, and he's not made a dime. His wife thinks he's crazy. His father-in-law, or his crazy Uncle Larry, keeps calling him out every Thanksgiving saying, when are you going to get a real job? And they say these things, and it's putting doubt in Pete's mind, and Pete is a month away from giving up. And here's what I know. If I can make Pete his first dollar online, like for me, it was $588. If he can make $30, $10, maybe it'll be more than $588. I've had guys like J.R. Reed, his first affiliate promotion he ever did, he made over $3,000 with a tiny list. So maybe you'll be like him, maybe you won't be. But if I can just get you something, if I can pay for your hosting with Bluehost, if you can make $10 this month, it changes everything. Your mindset. I think it was Oliver Wendell Holmes who said, like, once a mind has been expanded to a certain point, it can never go back to its original dimensions. Once you learn one new idea, imagine that you lived in a box your whole life and you suddenly learned that there's a blue sky outside. All you see is blue sky. Like, it could be cloudy and you still see blue sky because your mind has been expanded. If I can get somebody to make that first dollar, they never go back. Like, it changes everything. So the exercise I go through is I say, okay, Pete's sitting at his computer. I'm going to picture him reading this email. He's reading the email. He's clicking the link. He's going to, let's just say it's the sales page for sales page for somebody else. I'll say Ted McGrath. They're going to Ted McGrath's sales page. They're reading it. They're watching Ted's video. They laugh at the 4-minute mark because Ted said something funny. They go through this. They buy. They click on the buy button. They buy. Now they open the course for the first time. They're blown away by the content, and it changes their life. And when I go through that exercise, I spend 2-3 minutes meditating on that, what Pete is experiencing. When I sit down to write, or actually I stand to write copy, but when I stand to write copy, it's the easiest thing I do all day, Mark, because in my mind, all I'm doing is serving Pete and helping him get to his destination. I'm shepherding him on his destination. And, if you do that, like you asked for that one kind of what can you do? If you do that and you get into this right mindset and you believe that you can succeed, these case studies will help you, but that's the number one thing, Mark.
Matt, thank you for sharing the customer avatar and going that much into detail about it, because I feel like we just hear customer avatar. Oh, if we figure out some things that like make up our basic customer, we'll be successful. But like giving the customer avatar name like Pete, being very clear on who Pete is, and like making up this imaginary person gives you an idea of who you truly have to serve. And I mean, it's no wonder that you've been able to achieve success even with a relatively small list, because you're able to keep them engaged based on the idea that you know exactly who they are. But
they have to have a name. That's one of the most important parts. And our mutual friend who works with me, Mark Sieverkrop, he had a revelation recently about he has backyardsoccercoach.com, and his avatar is parents who didn't play soccer, who have kids who want to play soccer. It's me. I'm actually his avatar. And, I have a 6-year-old girl who is basically about to move up to, playing with the 7 and 8-year-olds. She's phenomenally gifted at soccer and loves the sport. And I never played. So I've reached the point where I can't teach her anymore, like based on my knowledge. We've reached that point. So I need somebody like Mark Sieverkrop to help me learn. But what he discovered is it's not about soccer. It's about time with your kid. And when he learned that, it was no longer about teaching you how to teach soccer. It was about creating training plans that would give you more time with your children, quality time with your children. And when he discovered that, I was like, that's so true, because so much of my quality time with her is spent in our yard playing soccer, or out on the when it's wet like it is now, out on this field down the street from us. Like, when he figured that out, it opened up all kinds of new opportunities. So it's about getting like crystal clear on exactly what your audience needs from you.
I really love that example, because I definitely see how that's true from the parenting standpoint. Obviously, I have no experience in that either, but I do see how, that just changes the whole dynamic of how you would market that product. But there are people who they have an email list, but it's not that engaged, where like someone with 8,000 or like 5,000 or 3,000 people isn't doing as well as someone like you, even after you're like just $588, because they don't have an engaged list. So how do you recommend getting unengaged people back in?
Well, the obvious statement is, well, you got to get them engaged, so the question is, how do you get them engaged? And in the specific context of of an affiliate promo, my recommendation would actually be, not necessarily if they really are truly unengaged, you've got to put in some legwork. You got to, give them some love. And, I'm doing, just to give you an idea, I'm looking at my content calendar, actually is on the other computer right in front of me. And, over the next 60 days, this is not an exaggeration, we are going to release 138 pieces of content between, audio, video, blog posts. Actually, that doesn't include emails. So we'll get a little bit over 200 pieces of content. That's an astronomical amount of content. I'm not suggesting you have to do that in order to engage. I'm just saying that's like, to paint the picture, you cannot have an engaged audience with, if you write like 2 blog posts over the next couple of weeks. And so number one, you just got to get them engaged in general. You got to condition them. We talk about one of the benefits of affiliate marketing is that you condition your audience to buy. Like, if all you do is give free content for a year and a half, which is what most new bloggers do, what you're conditioning them to do is what? Expect free content. Well, why should you, as an online business owner, condition your audience to expect free content? That's asinine. That's like going to Costco and they empty the shelves and all they do is have the free samples. Well, then every time you go to Costco, what do you expect? Free samples. You just expect to be able to get, let's say they just gave all the food away as free samples. Would you ever buy food from Costco? No. Because you could just go every day and get free samples, and they've conditioned you to expect that. Well, then all of a sudden you go one day and they only have a few things for free and everything else you have to buy. Well, what happened to this is ridiculous. What happened to my free samples? So no, they condition you on day one. They have products for sale. And that's what affiliate marketing is all about. You condition your audience. Well, prior to that though, if you think about any type of promotional period, there's these ebbs and flows throughout the year. And imagine these on approximately a 4 to 6 week cycle. You're going to, let's just say we'll do 30 days. Maybe we'll do 40. We'll do 40 days. Every 40 days, you're going to be finishing a promotion. So we're on day 0. What do I do between now and say day 30 when that promotion starts? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start talking about that subject matter. So let's just say that, let's just say for some reason I had an audience that was interested in soccer and I was going to promote Mark's course. Let's say maybe my course was more, or my audience was a soccer audience, but now I'm gearing up to promote a specific course that teaches parents how to spend more time with their kids playing soccer. That's what this course is about. It's not just about soccer in general. Well, what am I going to do? Well, week one, I'm going to kind of start, maybe I'm going to quote Mark and just kind of, plant his name in my audience's mind. Week two, I'm going to produce a video about, how I played soccer with my daughter this week. And then later in the week, I'm going to, talk about parenting. And then week three, I'm going to do something else. I don't know what it is off the top of my head. And then in week four, I'm going to interview Mark and I'm going to get my audience warmed up so that when this promotion starts on day 30, they're already warmed up. They're engaged in the topic. There's all this stuff going on in their subconscious. Like they know the name Mark Sieverkrop. They know a little bit about this. They're interested. They're saying, wow, you know what? This kind of sounds cool. I'd like to spend more time with my kid playing soccer. And then lo and behold, I present to them a course that helps them do the exact thing that's in the back of their mind. And when you do that, you're really priming you're priming the pump, as Zig Ziglar would say. Now, the other side of that, like I said, is keeping your audience engaged and conditioning them. And one of the ways you do that is by always having a link in your email. Not sending emails where the call to action is nothing or the call to action is reply. But, we studied this in 98% of the time. The call to action is click here, click here, click here, click the link below, things like that. You're conditioning your audience. And when you condition your audience, then when they see a link in your email, they don't go, what am I supposed to do with this? No, it's almost reflexive at that point. Yeah, whatever in the email, click the link, read more, blah, blah, blah. And you want to condition your audience as you go.
Matt, thank you for providing those excellent insights on how to engage the audience. I love that idea of conditioning, but you hit on a really great idea that I feel like, you do something that very few people can do. Like, you've got all these big clients, you're launching a big product soon, you have the podcast. How are you able to do all of this work, focus on products, and still produce hundreds of pieces of content in the next 60 days? Like, how does that work?
I'm actually a cyborg. I'm superhuman. Now, so I'll give you kind of a peek at how we do it. Number one is like no single piece of content is ever a single piece of content. And when I record a podcast episode, I'm running iMovie. I don't need a fancy video production in here to throw a video up on YouTube. Some people think that like it has to be this whole production. I'm like, dude, I set up my office. It's in the basement of our house. And I set it up. I've got great natural light coming in. I've got great overhead lighting. The reason I picked overhead lighting is right behind me is a whiteboard that I often, shoot videos on. And you can't do whiteboard videos with light pointing directly at you. So I've got super awesome overhead lighting that are muted a little bit, but there's so much light coming in that the video quality looks great. I shoot it in iMovie. I throw it in Dropbox. It gets edited real quick and uploaded. But like when I'm doing that, I literally am able to record a video and audio at the same time with a few tweaks, and that's super easy to do. And so I'm doubling that. That audio will eventually, so a 5-minute podcast is not really enough for a blog post, but we can I'm making these up. I don't know how these would actually work. We can take episode 17 and episode 42, combine them and have, somebody write some content. So, I mentioned Mark Sieverkrop on my team, like he'll take that audio and turn it in to to blog post content. But then mostly, like I said, it's a combination of being proactive and reactive. We get so many questions. Let me pull up. I've actually got Asana open here on my other computer. And if I go to this tab in Asana or in the section called content it's called content ideas. I mean, I can keep scrolling down for probably 50 seconds. I mean, there's got to be, I don't even know how to know how many. There's got to be 150 to 250 things in here. These are questions that I've been asked, topics. So how to find affiliate programs to promote. My favorite affiliate. What are your favorite affiliate marketing tools? How do I promote affiliate offers around holidays? How do I promote flash sales? What about Black Friday and Cyber Monday? Should I cloak my affiliate links? What do I need to do before I start? This goes on and on and on and on, this list. And it's all from questions from my audience. And how do you get questions from your audience? You ask them to ask you. You ask them, like, what do you want to know about affiliate marketing? And you continually ask them. You invite them to have a conversation with you, and they'll ask the questions. And now you don't have to think about, well, what content should I write? It's just you're reacting to what your audience wants to know. And you'll never, ever, ever run out of content. And all of this started, I had 100 in here, dude, before I had 2,000 people on my list. So it's not like well, of course, Matt, you'll get a bunch of questions. You got a lot of people on your list. And that's not the case. I had 100 before I ever had 2,000. I didn't have enough to go do daily. Now I've reached that point where I'm getting 2 questions for every one I answer. So, it will be infinite. I'm not even answering some of the questions, but yeah, I mean, it just kind of reaches that point where you have those and then you just got to make the time. I'll just put on there, so for instance, as soon as we're done with this, I'm going to run up, grab some water, go to the bathroom, and then I'm flipping on the camera. I'm going to record hopefully sneak in 3 episodes before my next podcast interview. And then, save those. And now I've got 3 podcast episodes and 3 videos, and life is good. It's just a matter of doing it. And for me, I would say this, because I hear this a lot. This is what Pete is always telling me, different versions of Pete. Well, but I'm scared to be on video. Well, you're just going to have to do it. I hate to break it to you. There's no secret. Here's the thing. There's not a single human being on the face of the earth that I've ever met that loves the way they look on camera. I can't stand it. I refuse to watch myself. No, I'm kidding. I actually do, because occasionally I have to edit something that, I only I know is in that video and I want to fix it. But, I don't love the way I look on video, and it's, whatever, but I am what I am. And people, I think it's one of the things that draws people to me, honestly, is I'm not trying to look fancy on video. It's you kind of I've worn the exact same thing on every video I've ever shot practically. It's a t-shirt. It's just like Jeff Walker. I wear a t-shirt. You watch one of my videos, you can pretty much guess the wardrobe in my next video, unless I happen to be outside on a cool day. I might be wearing a hoodie. I don't think I've ever once worn a dress shirt in a video, except for the one I did at PLF Live. That's the only time I even wore a collar. I've worn a collar in exactly 1 out of 150 videos that I've ever shot. That's who I am. This is what I wear every day. I actually want to create a t-shirt that says I'm an online marketer. This is my uniform, and it's just, that's all it says. In fact, I probably just need to create that t-shirt. If you don't like being on video, here's my challenge. Go do what I did next month or now. It doesn't have to be a month. I just happen to pick a month with 30 days. And you know what I did? I shot a video every day for 30 days. And I go back and look at those first 10 and I'm horrified. They were terrible. I was a total goober. You know what? The next 10 weren't so bad. And then in the third 10, man, I actually started getting pretty good at this. And I actually learned that I'm not supposed to look at the middle of the computer screen. I'm supposed to look up at the green dot, at the very top of the screen. So it doesn't look, I'm not looking down the whole time. I learned that I operated best off bullet points, not scripts. I learned that that for example, for the whiteboard, I had to learn that I need the overhead lighting. I also learned, here's a trick for you. Go get, Mr. Clean makes these things called magic erasers. Use that to clean your whiteboard because A, it cleans it really well, and B, it actually dulls the finish just the slightest bit. So it's not so, get the glare off the whiteboard in videos. I learned all that by doing it. And at the end of those 30 videos, I loved doing video and people loved watching me on video. And when it was time to shoot my course, being on camera was second nature. I knew how to do everything because I gave myself a 30-day challenge. I did a video every day for 30 days. And so I recommend doing stuff like that. Just challenge yourself, get an accountability partner to, and go tell them, okay, that's it. In next month, I'm doing 30 videos every day. I'm going to do a video every day for 30 days and have them hold you accountable to doing that.
I really love that goal of doing 30 videos for 30 days. I did it myself as well, and I think I hit like 40 something in a row. So it's definitely a really amazing experience to do that.
You're such an overachiever.
So you've shared a lot through emails about different affiliate launches, and you've seen a lot of them, and you've seen a lot of affiliates promote the launches. So I'm wondering, with all this experience, what are some of the creative ways you've seen that people have used to increase their affiliate sales?
Oh, wow. Man, creative ways. There have been some good ones. That thing I talked about with John Meese, one of the things that he did, and actually Mike Kim did it recently. And Mike Kim, we call him the man who beat Jeff Walker, because Mike has a list of, I think it's either just over 5,000 people, and he beat Jeff Walker and Ray Edwards' last affiliate launch. And one of the ways he did it was he actually did his own, videos and kind of like pre-sold Ray's course. That was brilliant. I've seen people call others, and this is not just for small affiliates. Alex Mandossian did this in Josh Turner's launch in spring 2016. I mean, Alex Mandossian, he's literally one of the living legends of online marketing. He's one of the very first people I ever followed. I mean, like back when like they sent you discs, or like floppies practically on how to learn online marketing. And he's literally picking up the phone and calling people and saying, you should go buy Josh's course. Now that's just legendary. So imagine getting a call from one of your idols and he's saying you should buy this course. Well, you're going to do it. Now he's not calling everybody. What the formula we give is, you take the people who, so let's just say you have 1,000 people, that opt in. You give a nice round number. 500 will never click to the sales page. 50 are going to buy. 300 are going to click once but don't buy, but you're going to have like that 100 people, 50 people, 75 people, whatever, that click multiple times but don't buy. Those are the people to call. Live chat, very similar, doing live chat. I did this, speaking of that same launch, Josh Turner's launch, that's when I got it on a whim. I put up live chat on my bonus page. And I made almost $3,000 in 90 minutes. The only reason I only spent 90 minutes doing it was that was the only time I had. Now when I do these things, I'll put up live chat and keep it up for a couple days and I'll have other people man it. So live chat's great. I mentioned doing your own pre-launch content, like Mike Kim and John Meese did. If you want to know how John did it, because his is like a perfect model, again, just go to mattmcwilliams.com/Guberti and I'll have a link to the case study up there. You can host your own AMA. Sorry, you asked for creative ways. Stu McLaren did this. This is so cool. I have not done this yet, but Stu McLaren, he did, when he promoted Michael Hyatt last year, he sent out an email and it basically said, he set up a pop-up Facebook group. So Michael Hyatt's 5 Days to Your Best Year Ever is all about goal setting. And he set up this pop-up Facebook group where he was sharing his end of year planning process. So he set up this Facebook group. Now he gets to use his Facebook group to, basically promote the whole launch to. I mentioned earlier about like my bonus page. Well, making sure you offer bonuses if they buy through your link, especially in a competitive landscape. Well, why should they buy through your link? Well, bonuses are one of the ways to make sure of that, setting up bonuses. And I've got tons of stuff on how to do that, but setting up some sort of a bonus, like the easiest way to set up a bonus is to basically say, I'll join you on the journey. So if you buy through my link, we'll do, say it's an 8-week digital course you're selling. Every other week, I'll get together with my buyers and we'll talk about, how things are going. We'll we'll go through and I'll share my biggest takeaways. I'll coach you through it. So I'll supplement the material, whatever it may be, like tons of ways to do that. That's the easiest way to put together a bonus because you don't actually have to put together anything. You just kind of do it after the fact. But yeah, I mean, those are some of the ways that come in. I mean, gosh, Mark, there's probably 50 ways that I could think of in the next hour, but I'll spare you. Those are a few of the ways.
Matt, thank you for sharing all those really creative ideas. I really love these creative ideas because usually there's a theme where some of the smaller email list manages to rise on top of the bigger guys because of creativity. So thank you for sharing those. You have recruited a lot of affiliates for your clients, and it's a reason why people continue coming to you, and you have to reject a lot of people also. So I'm wondering, how exactly do you recruit the affiliates for your launches?
Well, that's a proprietary secret that I'm unwilling to share, Mark. I'm kidding. It's actually something that we show people exactly how we do it. And so I mentioned that URL before. I got another thing I'll put on there. So yeah, the mattmcwilliams.com/Guberti. The best answer, I'm going to share a couple of ways real quick. But the best answer is to go get this report that we put together. It's called Your First 100 Affiliates, and this just walks you through step by step. It gives you some swipe files and things like that you can use. But there's two answers there. Number one, if you're kind of established in an industry, you're kind of known, then start with your friends. Start with the people that you're masterminding with, or you're hanging out with. That maybe you're in a forum together or like a Facebook group with, and reach out to them. And we got sample emails in that report. But let's just say you're completely new. You don't know a single person in your industry, or even if you do, this applies both ways. The best place to find affiliates is this place called Google. Here's how it works. You take a competitor. So let's pick a product. I'm gonna look at my desk here. All right, so I've got this this candle. It's the best candle ever. I can smell it right now. I needed to get this off my desk because it makes me want to drink coffee all day. It's a coffee scented candle, and because of it, I've got like hypertension from all the caffeine I drink. No, I'm kidding, but it's like deliciously smelling candle. Let's say you sell candles. And there's also, and you have an affiliate program. There's also some other candle programs. Now, this could apply to anything. You could have a course on copywriting. You could have a course on goal setting. You could have a planner, a physical planner, or a calendar, whatever it is you're selling. You go look up your competitors. You find out who's promoting them. You find their email address. When we show you how to do that in that report, you find their email address, but it's as simple as looking up a lot of times the who is information on their domain. There's Salesforce. I think it's like data.salesforce.com. It used to be called Jigsaw. So if you go to jigsaw.com, it'll redirect there. You can find almost anybody's information there. There's a plugin for Gmail called Reportive. And a lot of times you can guess, like my email is public, matt@mattmcwilliams.com. Feel free to email me anytime. But let's say my email wasn't public. And I actually do have a private email address that you can't find this way, that's meant for more, like my mom, for example. But like a lot of times you can just go type in and guess people's emails. And if you use Reportive, and eventually you'll be able to find their email. And you email them and you say, hey, I noticed you were promoting, this other candle company. I've got some candles out. I've got a goal setting course out. I've got whatever. Would you be interested in being an affiliate? Here's what we pay, blah, 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 blah. And it's a super quick email. All you're looking for is a yes, no, or maybe. You're going to get about 40 or 50% who say no. You're going to get about 10% who immediately say yes, like they're enthusiastic about it. And everybody else is going to say, send me some more information. And then you send them more information. You can do that whether or not you could literally like decide to start in your industry tomorrow and create a product and not know a single person, and yet you could be able to find. I'm not saying you're going to be like, you could be brand new and come out of the gate and have 75 affiliates like next day, but you can get your first 10 or 20 just through Google.
I absolutely love the idea of going through Google to find all of these affiliates. And one thing I know that like I recently came across because I'm doing research in this area myself is look for people who are posting reviews of the product that like is your competitor.
Yeah,
that's a good one because you see people who they're talking about the product, so they may talk about your product later on. So my little learning, I'm getting to that point, so I thought I'd share that little tidbit. But regardless of how many affiliates you get, you have to be able to communicate with them in order to get them to perform at their best and get sales, make your clients happy. So how do you communicate with affiliate marketers to ensure that they're doing the best they can to promote your product?
Yeah. The most common answer to this question, I'm not picking on like anybody. I'm just saying this is the most common answer that I heard 5-10 years ago when I was learning this stuff is, well, here's how you get affiliates to take action today. Here's what you need to say today in the middle of a product launch, that kind of stuff. Here's what you need to say today. And that's important. Like we know you want to study, psychology, you want to study persuasion, you'll read every book by Robert Cialdini that you can and learn, the basics of persuasion. And you want to learn what motivates people. And the most important thing I see is like, let me describe what a typical product, like when you're doing product launches, for example, or you have promos, and let's say you're doing one a year, let's say it's in the month of July. You've got a product launch coming up in the month of July. July 1st through 20th is your launch. Well, like the second half of June, you'll start saying the launch is coming up. The launch is coming up. I'm really excited about the launch. And then it starts, it's like the launch is on. Woo, the launch is on. Sales are great. We're doing great. Oh, coming up on the last day. It's almost the last day. And then poof, dead silence. And then next June, the launch is coming up. Like, well, what about the other 11 months out of the year? So that's the biggest mistake I see. And so you have affiliates, whatever is going on, you want to communicate with them when you don't need them. So I tell people, like, this is what we do. Give them behind the scenes access, like show them what's going on with your business. Give them a tip that has nothing to do with promoting your affiliate offer. Like if you're doing something on Facebook and it's working for your business, share that with them so that you can help them, because that's the principle I mentioned, Cialdini, the principle of reciprocity. If I give you a Facebook ads tip and you're doing well with that Facebook ads tip, who do you remember? You remember me. Why? Because I helped you with Facebook ads. And now you kind of feel like in the back of your mind that you want to reciprocate, right? So, share stuff with your affiliates throughout the year, even when you don't need them, even when you don't need them to promote. That's the biggest thing you need to do with your affiliates, is not just communicating with them when the launch is going on. Communicate with them throughout the year.
Matt, thank you for giving us that very valuable nugget of wisdom of communicating with affiliates, like even after the launch, because it's just like any other email list, any other segment. If you don't communicate with them for 11 months, they're going to forget about you, or they're not going to be as warm to your message, or it's like they wanted to help you out, but they forget about you. And then by the time you come back, they're like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm in this other launch. So it's really good to be able to constantly communicate with them. I mean, you've provided a lot of great insights throughout this episode. We're now going to go deeper into some of the questions I like to ask all of my guests. So the first question being, what is one big challenge you have faced in your life, and how did you overcome it?
One challenge. We could go at the time that I was arrested. We could go at the time the judge put me on. We could go with that. I faced 42 years in prison. That was a big one. My dad fired me. We could go with that. Now, I would say one of the biggest challenges I faced was one of the many times I refer to myself as being utterly unemployable. One of the many times I was fired. And here's what I will say. The last time I was ever fired, because it was the last time I ever worked for somebody else, feels like forever ago. It was actually only about 7 years ago. And I remember I'm sitting, it's a Saturday, and the company laid off about half the staff the week before, and then they decided to lay off a few more people this week, and I was one of them. And I remember, like, I'm sitting on the couch. We had just bought our house. So we had this new mortgage, and we had a brand new, our daughter was 6 months old, and my wife had quit working, 6 months before, 7 months before to stay home with her. So we're down to one income. It's mine, new house, new kid. And like the first thought that went through my mind is, oh my gosh, like we're going to lose everything. Like this sucks really bad. But I had this side business. I had 2 clients, and I remember, like, you add up the numbers. Those 2 clients made us about $3,000 a month. So, only $36,000 a year. That just about paid our bills. Like when you factored in the mortgage and, everything else, we could almost survive on just what I made from my side business. And that's how I got through it. And that's why I tell people to have a side business. That's why I tell people to, you do not, like, even in your business, you don't want one stream of income. I met with a guy recently, and he was like, man, when you became an entrepreneur, was it scary? Well, like the risk, he's like, I can't imagine, that just seems so risky. I was like, dude, this is the least risky thing I've ever done. I have technically I have dozens of streams of income. So let's look at this real quick. I have 5 clients that I directly work with, like run their launches like me and my team run them, and I'm heavily involved. I've got, half dozen coaching clients. I've got 15 to 20 affiliate offers that I promote actively in a year. I've got another couple dozen that I promote passively, meaning, they're on my resources page and things like that. Then I have 2 different products that are high dollar, multiple low dollar courses. I'm doing podcasts, I'm doing podcast interviews, I'm doing summits, I'm doing videos, I'm doing blog posts. Like, I have streams of income coming out of places I don't even know exist in my body, Mark. And here's the thing. Would I be devastated if one of our clients said, we no longer want to work with you? Yeah, it would hurt my feelings. But we have no problem not only paying our bills. If one of our clients dropped us tomorrow, we're still going on vacation. We're still going to keep our membership to, Cedar Point and go ride roller coasters 10 times a year. We're still going to go to San Diego for 2 or 3 weeks. We're still going to take my mother, here and there. We're still going to do all the fun stuff if one of my affiliate offers dried up and I went from making whatever to nothing, everything's going to be just fine. It's the least risky thing in the world. That's how I got through that tough time. Was one thing I didn't have to worry about was finances. I went, well, we've got plenty of savings. We had about 6, we were smart financially. We did what Dave Ramsey teaches. We saved up 6 months expenses. Well, the thing is, when you can almost cover your bills with your side income, 6 months expenses actually will last you like 4 years. We basically had a 4-year emergency fund. So I didn't have to worry about it. So we started our business and sure enough, within 90 days, we were making more than what we needed. And fast forward, and now we're, very blessed financially. But like, that would not have been possible if I'd been stressed about money and I had to go get another job that could fire me on a moment's notice.
Matt, that is an amazing story, and I think it captures the whole idea of getting the job being far riskier than entrepreneurship. Like a business, like people usually think it's riskier, but in your case, like if you didn't have the business, the side business, it'd be very different. I don't know if I'd be talking to you right now, but it's just...
Probably not. I'd probably be working for somebody that I don't respect and I want to kill, But yeah, it's the least riskiest thing, because like when you work for somebody else, you are one bad traffic jam away from them just being in the wrong mood, waking up on the wrong side of the bed from firing you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Now you could say, oh, the union, I don't care about all that crap. Like, no, they can fire you. You are one, like if you work for somebody, like let's say you work for Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey's this huge name. I don't believe this is going to happen, but if Dave Ramsey goes out and gets a DUI tomorrow and kills somebody, heaven forbid, I'm not putting that on him. I'm just saying, like, if that happened, you're out of a job. His business just goes down the tank. You might be out of a job just because he did something stupid. So that's risky. Like, there's no risk in what I'm doing. This will not happen. Every one of our clients could drop us tomorrow. We're still fine. We're still absolutely fine financially. Every one of our affiliate offers could dry up. We're still fine. I can make no sales in my product this year. I'm going to be just fine. All of my coaching clients could drop. I'm just fine. And that's what you want. So, yeah, I mean, it's the least risky thing you can do.
I definitely agree with that. And I mean, that is an amazing part of your journey, being able to have that side business and make it into what it is now. And speaking of your journey, I'm wondering, you've learned a lot of great lessons throughout your journey. What is the best lesson you have learned?
It's a good question. And I'm tempted to say it's probably what I just shared. It's probably, it's a lesson that doesn't really apply now, because I've kind of gotten to that point where I know that deep in my heart that this is low risk, but I'm tempted to probably say, I would say the other one that I learned is to monetize from day one. That's why I love affiliate marketing, because it allows you to monetize and learn what your audience is going to pay for. And you don't have to create a product and go through all that effort. So for me personally, if I could go back in time, this is the lesson I learned. If I could go back in time, I would have started monetizing through affiliates day one. I might have only made $50 the first quarter that I promoted affiliate offers. In the next quarter, I might have only made $100. But you know what? At the end of 6 months, I'd have had $150, which is infinitely more than zero. And who knows? Maybe at the end of the year, I would have had $2,000. Do you know? What that would have done for my mindset, rather than waking up in the morning dreading creating content and wondering if I'm crazy and listening to those voices in my head telling me, you don't have a business, you have an expensive hobby. Like, rather than that, I'm going to wake up in the morning going, you know what? I've got a business. It's not making as much as I hope it will, but we made $2,000 this year. I know I can triple that this year. Well, now I have $8,000. And then, I know I can triple it again. And now we have $26,000. And the thing is, we didn't need that money to live off of. So that money's just going over to the side. And then suddenly I look up one day and we have $250,000 in the bank. And I'm still doing this part-time. And I'm like, that's what I wish I had done. And if I could give one piece of advice, it would be, you monetize day one. Every other bit, like content marketing, bloggers, podcasters, it's the only business on the face of the earth where you don't monetize on day one. That's insane. It's stupid. It's so crazy. You don't walk into a Walmart that opens up across town and they just give away free content for 3 months. You don't walk into the mom and pop store across town and they just give away free content. Like, they don't get you go to, even when they moved the baseball team here, like, they don't give away free tickets. Like, you have to pay for stuff on day one. So don't give away your best stuff every single day from day one. Like, have something that they can buy and create a financial transaction. It takes that relationship to the next level. And you got to do that on day one. You got to monetize on day one. You might not make anything on day one, but you got to have monetization efforts in place on day one.
I love that idea of monetizing since day one. I mean, if I had that advice, things would be very different for me as well. I feel like, now that I think of it, that could be like one of the mistakes people make, that like it's on par with not starting the email list earlier. It's just that people don't really think of it that way as much. So I greatly appreciate you bringing that to our attention.
Awesome.
And in addition to bringing that great tip to our attention, I was wondering if you could also bring 3 great books to our attention, because, I mean, I'm an avid reader myself. I'm sure people like listening to podcasts, they want to acquire as much knowledge as possible. So what are 3 great books you could think of right now?
Everything by Robert Cialdini, like I mentioned. I mean, I'm rereading. So I was actually talking with somebody earlier. I finally learned how to read a book recently. And I don't mean like I was illiterate. I mean, I learned the way to effectively read a book. And so what I do is I read 3 or 4 books at a time on the same type of subject, getting different views. I go through and I kind of real quickly over the course of about a half hour, 40 minutes, I flip through the book reading the headlines to kind of get the gist of what the book's about. Then I go back and I read it as fast as possible, highlighting along the way. Then I go back and read for understanding, where I take notes. And, everything by Robert Cialdini. Influence, yes. The Small Big, Persuasion is his new one that I actually haven't read yet, but I can recommend it because I know how awesome he is. Trying to think if I'm looking behind me at my list of books, thinking if there's any others by him that I'm forgetting. Nope. Definitely those. There's so anything by Robert Cialdini, and I would say the other two would be .com Secrets and Expert Secrets from Russell Brunson. How to Write Copy That Sells from Ray Edwards. I know you only asked for 3, but these are my favorites, so I have to say them.
Matt, thank you for sharing all those great books with us. I mean, a lot more than 3, but that also gives us a lot more choices for which books we read next. Before we get to the part where I ask where we can find you on the web, I'm wondering, what is one question that we need to be asking ourselves more often?
Good one. The one question, I'll give you the question that I'm asking myself every day. I mean, I remind myself of this every day because if I don't, then I start thinking this is about me. And I start thinking that this blog post is about me and what I can get out of it. So the question I ask myself every day is, what does Pete need? Like, what does he need? And he, is technically 27% of the time a female, but what does Pete need? And like, sometimes what Pete needs, based on what I'm hearing, Pete needs encouragement. So I may not want to be an encourager today. I want to talk about tactics, but no, Pete needs encouragement. Pete needs to know how I launched my podcast. So one of the episodes coming up is the behind the scenes on how I launched my podcast. Why? Because I'm getting questions out the yin yang about how do you launch a podcast? I'm not the podcast guy. There's plenty of guys that do that, Cliff Ravenscraft and John Lee Dumas, but they want to hear from me. Why? Because they know, like, and trust me, and they want to know how I did it. Doesn't mean I'm going to create a course on it, but I can do a podcast episode on it. And so ask yourself, whatever your avatar is, come up with your avatar, create a name for them, and just ask yourself every single day, what does he or she need? What does Pete need? And what does Pete need to know? What's happening in the world? Because, I write about affiliate marketing stuff. The game doesn't really change all that much. Just because there's some new social network tomorrow doesn't really change the dynamics of affiliate marketing. But if you're in an industry where world events, where what the president says tomorrow changes the landscape, then you need to ask yourself, okay, what does Sally need to know today? How can I serve her or him on this day? And if you do that consistently, like if you ask yourself that question every single day, the products, the content that you're going to put out there is going to be amazing. The products you're going to create are going to be amazing. And you're going to look up a year from now and go, holy crap, like there's 10,000 new Petes that just suddenly found their way to me. And it's not going to be it might be a pleasant surprise, but it really shouldn't be a surprise. So that's the question I would ask every day.
Matt, thank you for providing that really great question. I mean, asking that question every day basically reminds yourself of why you're in business and who you actually need to serve. I mean, that is such a great insight, as were all the insights that you provided throughout this whole episode. And just to thank you, I'm just going to put the spotlight on you right now, as if we haven't always been doing that for this episode. But where can we find you on the web?
I mentioned it earlier, Mark. We're going to put up a page for your audience, and we've got all the stuff I talked about that we'll give away there. So yeah, go to mattmcwilliams.com/Guberti. We'll have that case study with Matthew. His name is Matthew Kabumas Loomis. Matthew Kabumas Loomis, on how he did so well in Jeff Goins' launch with a small list. We'll have that case study with John Meese on how he made over $5,000 with a tiny list. We'll have your first 100 affiliates, which has got 15 awesome places to find killer affiliate partners. And I'll probably throw something else up there as well that I think will be of use to your audience, Mark. So yeah, go to mattmcwilliams.com/Guberti and we'll have all that up there.
Matt, thank you for taking the time to share your insights to Breakthrough Success listeners. It was a pleasure having you on the podcast.
My absolute pleasure, Mark. Thanks for having me.
I thoroughly enjoyed that interview. Matt provided some fantastic advice about getting affiliates, not just for the sake of building your own program, but also being able to get sales from the affiliate products that you promote. So that is definitely something very valuable. You want to definitely check out his new podcast because that's really successful so far. And if you want the show notes for this episode, don't worry, we've got you covered with those. So visit markguberti.com/E42 for those. You can ask your questions over there, which I'll be more than happy to answer. To never miss an episode, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on whatever player you are using. If you are a regular listener and haven't done so already, I would greatly appreciate it if you could give this podcast a review or a rating. Two ways you could do this are through markguberti.com/iTunes or markguberti.com/Stitcher. That ends this episode. Don't forget, dream big, achieve greatness, and unlock your potential today. How does over 100 retweets per day sound to you? My free ebook, 27 Ways to Get More Retweets on Twitter, has you covered. I use the methods within this ebook to get over 10,000 retweets every single quarter. To learn more and get access to this free resource, visit markguberti.com/retweet. This podcast is a production done by Mark Guberti. For more insights, head on over to markguberti.com.